Hello, hello, and welcome once again to the Black Dimension. I am Kev, and with me is Roger, and we are two-thirds of the habitual line steppers, the innovator of this YouTube channel called the Black Dimension. All right, and for anyone tuning in, we're glad to have you. And both of us had just been to see the film Terminator: Dark Fate, just released. You know how they show them early on Thursday, so we just happened to catch them. But their official release date is November the 1st, 2019. Uh, Let me warn you before we proceed that there are spoilers ahead, spoiler images, and spoilers in our review. So let's get on with it. Roger, what's going on?
Nothing much, nothing much. Just came in from seeing it. It was I'm gonna have to put this one on a buy it, you know, which I'm pretty sure was kind of obvious to folks. So yeah, my official I'm officially ranking this one to buy it for so we can say that before we get into the spoilers for those who want to just hear what the rating is and get out of Dodge. But it's a buy it from me.
Okay. And for me, being a fan of the Terminator franchise that has seen all the films, I've seen all the films. Okay, and the films go like this. And I'm gonna get to a point in just a second. Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, and Terminator Dark Fate. Now, let me tell you what's significant about these films. Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and Terminator Dark Fate, the one that just came out, is the official trilogy. Not even Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines is an official sequel. It kind of was, but it didn't perform that well at the box office. Plus, it was kind of, I would say, poorly written. Um, so also Terminator Dark Fate is special from every movie after Terminator 2 because it's the directorial return of James Cameron to the Terminator franchise. Of course, uh, the last one he did was Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which came out in 1991. So, anyway, now as far as my rating, I will buy it. I mean, I will buy it. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Terminator franchise, and this movie right here, I can rate as a breath of fresh air. Um, you can really tell that it had the James Cameron touch to it because Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines looked like it was rushed. And the other two, Terminator Salvation and Terminator Genesis, they had some good things about it, but still, kind of both convoluted stories, if you ask me, for anyone who's seen those. But let's get into the film, Roger.
Yes, sir.
So,
Well, I think it did a great job to service the fans when it came to not really needing those films that weren't received so great. you know, the fact that they dealt with a future that was changed because of what happened in the past movies, could put it more in line to you don't necessarily need the ones that were not so uh not so embraced when they first came out. I say that.
yeah, like even like the first Terminator, it wasn't, it really wasn't supposed to be that great a film, but it was such a cult classic. It just started the franchise. Um, anyway, let's get into the film. Just gonna give a few elements away. Like we said, spoilers ahead, heavy spoiler images, and heavy spoilers from our review. The beginning of the film goes back to Sarah Connor when they're playing that video footage that they played in Terminator 2 of when first got into the mental institution right after she was attacked by the Terminator. Uh, basically, they basically she was on the footage going off, and then because of the results, because of the end of Terminator 2, they were able to stop Judgment Day at that time. So Skynet, as they knew it, never came to fruition. But and Roger, take it over from this right here.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean that was a great victory that they were able to stop Skynet, but unfortunately, there was a new, uh, I guess, system of control, which was called Legion. So even though the future had changed, eventually the war with the machines did happen. And sound like based on the description, it came a little bit more. It was probably a little bit more terrifying in this version than it was even in the last version. You know.
Yes, yes, Legion. Yeah, Legion seemed more terrifying than Skynet, and you could tell the differences even by the set of Terminators. Now that's what kind of got me kind of a plot hole. If they stopped Skynet, how did they still end up with Terminators? And what I'm thinking is there might be another element to the story that has yet to be revealed. But in order like to come that close to still having that exact future, there had to been something going on in the background. But let's move along to Sarah Connor. We joined Sarah Connor then with Linda Hamilton. This was actually pretty good CGI. The de aging, like of the characters,
Hmm.
and yeah, this was pretty good CGI. And you see her sitting down with a young John Connor, which looks just like Edward Furlong, John Connor from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The problem I had with this was John Connor looked like he was a little shorter, more kiddish. He did like to me the way he was presented. Didn't he look like he went through the events of Terminator 2? I mean, it's like, and it seemed like he was a bit shorter. Like he was just like a little boy who was around his mother. And then what you would discover is Skynet not only sent back the T-1000 at that point, because in Terminator 2, John Connor of the future caught a Terminator and reprogrammed it to go back and protect John Connor from the T-1000. So it had to be if Skynet when Skynet sent back the T-1000, she sent back a couple of T-800s too, and one of those T-800s caught up with
Yeah.
her. And unaware that Skynet had failed, like the Terminator from was still from that timeline still existed for some reason because it's like I don't know. They explain it kind of in Avengers Endgame, but for those of you who haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, go see it, whatever. But it's kind of like time. Uh, you can't change the past into the future, but some like
Well, I
it's
would
some
say
real funny,
this
which
one,
means that
this one didn't really fit into that same type of rule set. But at the end of the day, when you deal with the movies, when you deal with time travel movie, every movie gets to make up their own rules about time travel. So basically, they just said Skynet that existed in an alternate future had already sent back machines to kill John Connor. So even though the future was now altered, before that future was offered, those machines had already been sent off, so they came back to a same past. So you had a situation where it was the same past but an alternate future. I know that's a lot to take
yeah,
in and figure out what I'm talking about, but you pretty much have to see the movie to even figure that one out. yeah,
yeah,
but it was
and
it was two different futures but the same past. But go ahead, kid.
yeah, yeah. Skynet had a contingency plan, and despite the fact that that future was stopped, Skynet actually accomplished its mission and exterminated John Connor. Terminator, de-aged Arnold, came with a shotgun, boom, shot him once. He was on the ground, shot him again, right in front of his mother. His mother even tried to shoot the Terminator. Couldn't do it because he has an endoskeleton made of metal. So he just walked in, walked back out. Now, in the commercial, I wondered why Sarah Connor was so angry with that Terminator when she first saw Arnold. And then you found out why. Because that Terminator, spoiler, that Terminator that shot John Connor was the same Terminator that was in the film. That later on in the film, and they did it. And then they did just like Terminator Genesis. They did an aging Terminator. So yeah, they kind of explain, just to keep Arnold Schwarzenegger in the franchise, and I guess they said that the skin ages around the exos. around the endoskeleton.
Well, I
Just
mean,
as a way
that was
to
an
go ahead.
that was an established rule from previous Terminators. So anyone who's watching a Terminator movie, if you're talking about a T-800 model, you already know they age. Period. So to me, there was nothing more to explain unless you hadn't seen the other Terminator movie. I know if I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, no, if I'm in this universe, if I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is a Terminator. He's one of many Terminators because they all look alike and they all have that aging process because of the way the skin is applied to the metal when the Terminators are created. So
Okay.
it flowed along was flowed along the same scenes as the previous Terminators.
Okay. So in this particular story, there were two sent back from the future. There was an enhanced human being named Grace, uh, and there was a Terminator from the Legion called the Rev Nine. I was like, this time the Terminator is a Terminator was Spanish, because like the whole first part of the film, yeah, took place in Mexico, so everybody was speaking Spanish. But fear not, we have subtitles for those of you who don't know Spanish. But yeah, this really is a different take. Have it start out somewhere else besides America. That right there, kind of suspends the disbelief a little bit. Um, yes. Once they got there, her job was to protect Daniela Ramos. She was like basically this this big leader of the future, kind of like she was that future's version of John Connor. In the movie, it alluded to she might have been the mother of the leader of the future, but as the movie went along, you found out it was actually her who was the one that made the impact and the difference. Yeah, she was just like with Skynet, they had John Connor. With Legion, they had Danny, as they called her in the movie, just short for Daniela.
Now,
She
speaking of,
actually, she
oh, go ahead,
go ahead.
go ahead, brother, go ahead, go
Yeah,
ahead.
and actually, she was presented as a strong character. I don't see how, seeing that she was never exposed to the uh, uh, post-apocalyptic world just yet. What was her profession? She worked in a factory, and she was like, I guess, one of the most productive workers because they started to lay off people, and the boss didn't want to lay off her, wanted to lay off her brother. And I guess to show nobility in her character, she was the one like, no, I'll go instead. Let me, my brother keep his job. Now, let me tell you something about Daniela's father and brother, with Danny's father and brother. When I first saw them, I knew it. I knew those. I said those two guys are gone.
It is a movie called Terminator. Somebody got to die. But you know what? I do want to say I believe the story was very well written because the fact that they had established that it was a different future. So now the goals of the Terminator were very different. Those Terminators seemed more advanced, and even with the way they told the story, you know, because if you think about the first Terminator and the John Connor issue, this was a different time because we're further ahead in the future. So it's like they made it where the world was about to change. They if you think about how the timeline did, they made it where like this horrible future will happen in the next couple of years. You know, it would be like right around the corner to a certain degree, especially when they went back at the end of the movie and showed the child with the parents. Well, when Grace was a child with the parents, so it's like a future that's right around the corner. But because of the rules of time travel, you can keep playing with this franchise in a lot of different ways, and now they've gave it great reason to have more Terminator movies without Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the Terminator, because now you got an alternate future who builds different Terminators, so seamlessly you can continue to carry out the franchise. So
Okay, I know that seems like a blur down there, but what did you think of the Rev Nine?
Rev, I mean, it was a good Terminator. It definitely was. It definitely was a good Terminator. It had some abilities that other Terminators couldn't have. They took that Terminator 2 version and really kind of souped it up, and I thought they did a great job with it. Honestly, because to make that Terminator better, if before you see the movie, to think about how can you make the Terminator from T2 better, and you'd had to rack your brain to come up with some ideas. But the way they did it and executed it in this movie, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. The Rev 9 to me, yeah, it did seem like a combination of the T800 and the T1000. It was like he had a liquid metal skin that he could like he could shed himself and like split into like two beams, like two. His endoskeleton would go around, and then like his liquid, like his kind of liquid nano metal, whatever you want to call it. They could coordinate and work, separately together at the same time or whatever. Um, but I would say the Rev 9 is a very cool looking Terminator,
Yeah,
and yes, he was an efficient killing machine. But as do with all antagonists in the film, they weren't efficient enough. Um, yeah, they killed him in some kind of weird way. It's like, okay, let me put it like this: what you remember how he was crushed, like the first Terminator, how the T800 was crushed?
hmm
You couldn't you couldn't kill the Rev 9 that way. You
right,
couldn't.
right.
Yeah, basically you had to short him out, like doing some kind of EMP, like electrical pulse disturbance kind of thing, and that's exactly what they did to kill him. Spoiler. We did say spoiler, so if you hear stuff, don't get mad. Don't get mad. But
But you know what?
yeah,
From what I gathered, it was like that Terminator was taking metal from other places to create, basically to create a situation where he can have two separate bodies. He was taking metal from other things around it, and I just took it as he was taking metal, interfacing with computer networks, and basically he was just using the areas around him to create what he needed to create to explain why he could separate into two different beings.
okay.
So it kind of made sense
Now,
to me, the way they did it. They made it make sense.
okay. So okay, these were the four main characters you watch. You looking at the screen?
Hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. These were the four main characters. You had Sarah Connor. You had Grace, who was an enhanced human being. You had Danny, who they was trying to protect, and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh well, the T800, who took upon the label of Carl, and for some reason, the Terminator became an interior decorator with a family.
And but they did make it make sense. I will say that they made it make sense. I mean, if you could live in this world, they explained it pretty good. It was hilarious though. It definitely was hilarious.
Yeah, like the part where Sarah Connor would they explained some way like after her son was killed by the stray Terminator, she became a hunter of Terminators, and the way she would get the locations is she used to receive text messages mysteriously into the locations, and and I guess whoever the alternate source was, at the end of each message would say for John. Now, for an extra Terminator, I don't understand why he would say for John. I mean, this version of the Terminator wasn't the one that accompanied John Connor and protected him, or nor was he programmed to protect. He was programmed to kill John Connor. So when you discover that the mystery text person was the T800 played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, it kind of made me wonder why in the world would he ever help Sarah Connor if he was not the original Terminator?
So you didn't like the explanation they kind of gave for that, because I thought they gave a somewhat solid explanation on that. That's what I thought anyway.
Okay, now let's go through what this explanation is.
Well, the explanation was the fact that once the Terminator completed his mission, it had no purpose. Therefore, it had to give himself a new purpose, and it thought that because John was killed, that Linda needed a new purpose. So it started sending her information because that would help her have purpose. You know, to destroy Terminators that came to kill her son successfully, and he got the information due to cross universal information. I'll say the cross universal information interface. That's that's how, yeah, that's the term for it. Cross universal information interfacing. The same type of things where, for anyone who's seen like DC, and when the Flash does the time paradox, what's the big Crisis on Infinite Earth?
Flashpoint.
Yeah, when he does Flashpoint, and they say, like he has memories from a different timeline. Same thing. He was getting information from a different timeline. So I just took it as that same type of deal. So
Yeah,
universal information interface. It sound like that sounded important. When I say it like
yeah.
that.
You Lord. I mean, I thought it was funny when he said, if you're going to keep your telephone in the bag of potato chips, keep it in the bag of potato chips. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Linda Hamilton. I mean, she was believable as Sarah Connor once again. I do believe that. I did believe that. After so many years of not playing Sarah Connor, that is in fact the Sarah Connor. The path that character was taking, uh, it was perfect. It was perfect. Yeah, she was an older. She was a disheartened person because of the death of her son, and yeah, she was very very angry and had it was very much tension with the quote fingers up Carl. But like that, but if they had to did what they did to kill the Rev 9, I don't know how they would have killed the Rev 9. Like it was like it was like they were lucky. Like the Rev 9 was so dangerous. It was like they were lucky to have gotten through
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
that.
it was a great setup, but my thing is, it does make for great movies in the future because now with them telling the story the way they told it, yeah, Sarah Connor can be in more future movies, but it's not technically even necessary to have her in more future movies, and everything still makes sense because of what happened. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, Legion made some badass Terminators. I would say that the scene where they were flashed to the future and they had to battle with the Rev 9 Terminators, they didn't even look like the Rev 9 that like fought them. They looked like they were slightly more advanced.
Well, yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's like
Well,
yeah,
I
they
think
were they were
at that point there was no hiding. They was just out in full what excuse me, full warfare at that point. When it came back from if when the Terminator was sent from the future to the past, it was trying to be do incognito so it can get to the target and eliminate it. But in the future, it was full warfare. So I understand the differences.
yeah. Also one more thing we gotta wrap this up. Uh, I don't know. I would give a character critique on Grace. I felt like Grace was a bit over the top. I realized what she was there for and what she was there to do and what kind of character they were trying to pull off, but it did seem like she was a bit over the top. I didn't think that they did enough to establish the tension between Grace and Sarah Connor. I mean, I felt like Grace didn't really have a good reason to feel the way about Sarah Connor that she did. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, trusting
you
her was. Well, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Kev.
oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
No, what I was saying was it wasn't like they established tension between Grace and Sarah Connor I don't see like it seemed like Grace was the aggressor, but it seemed like Grace started it too. It didn't seem to me like it was established enough that Grace. Like I still don't know why she would have been like acting like that towards Sarah Connor.
What?
I
What?
guess they tried.
Well, let me just
And
throw something now. That she's coming back to. Remember, she was a kid when everything went down, so she ain't really trusting people at all. You know what I mean? She's come back as an adult, but this Sarah Connor she met was like from when she was a child. So she got a lot of bad memories from when she was a child, because she
yeah,
grew
but
up on the
still though, she didn't know Sarah Connor though. I think what they were trying to do was like and I know this is gonna sound kind of odd trying to put it with this situation. They tried to establish the tension between the two alphas that were in the area, kind of just like kind of a Cap and Iron Man thing when they
yeah.
first met. I think they was trying to do that with
Oh,
Grana.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely were. They definitely were, and I feel like neither one of them really kind of gave way. In that particular instance, because I forget the line she said to her, but one of the toughest lines she would say to her about, if it's necessary, I'll f you up, and all Sarah Connor responded was with I'm driving. Like, yeah, I understand that was a threat, but that them type of threats don't really affect me. I kill Terminators. That's what I do. So I understood it, you know. Yeah, it's hard to threaten a person who goes around killing Terminators, you know, because they ain't nothing to be played with. So, but like when
Yeah.
even as
Now
last
I
week,
would say
how we
yeah, I'll say this about this film though.
what are you saying?
Ain't anything, Roger. Go ahead, talk.
No, I was trying to let you said I will say this about this film. Go ahead and say that, brother. Go ahead. Okay, now you're not going.
It starts out fast. Fast. It starts out pretty quick. Then it stalls for a bit to get some story out, and then it picks right back up. Um, one another thing about this film, there's a lot of plot devices.
Well, I'm gonna say
There's
overall.
a lot of plot devices, so be looking for that too. Oh, Roger, you going out? You went out.
No, I was letting you speak. I was letting you speak, but I'm gonna say that you know how we were discussing films being led by females leading films. This was a
Yeah,
very well made female lead where everything was believable. Because like last time I was saying they do certain things with female leads, but then they make it where it don't make sense. It's not believable. But they did this in a way where it was good, it was well written, and it was believable. So for those who think that females have to be out front, which I'm not really with. Females have to be out front, but I'm not against them being out front. My thing is just make a good movie, and this was a female-led movie that was very good, in my opinion. Very good. This how you do it.
yeah. I mean, I'm the whole social justice. Like I said, I always felt like that there were movies where they had strong female leads. So I'm not a kind of person that likes to treat things special just because the media says over and over again that it doesn't happen. But as long as you can pull off a good piece of work, then I wouldn't care if it was male or female. I mean, just be entertaining. And this movie was entertaining. It was action packed, and it was like I said at the beginning, it was a fitting sequel to Terminator 2: Judgment Day. In fact, Like I said in the beginning, it's the official direct sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The other stories were just side stories. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, and Terminator stories. The official trilogy is Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Terminator Dark Fate. Uh, this movie was good. I liked it, and I'm gonna rate it at a buy.
Oh yeah, it definitely deserves to buy. This was just a very well put together movie, and there's really no stones to throw at this one. This was just a very well put together movie.
Yeah. For those who were disappointed, like I was in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines or the other two, you would definitely like this film. This film does make up a lot for a lot of what those films missed out on. And I mean, and they weren't bad films. Maybe except Terminator 3 Rise of the Machine that looked rushed. They, I mean, yeah, but anyway, I think it's about time for us to bring this broadcast to an end. Yeah, you like to say anything else, Roger?
I don't know. Just well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. This was another edition of the Black Dimension, hosted by the Habitual Line Steppers, and we'll be here to entertain you.
All right, and also go see Terminator Dark Fate. You know, you heard it from us. We say it's okay to go see.
Yeah, you
So,
you you will not be disappointed.
mhm. All right, I feel like that's about it. Uh, I'm Kev, and this is Roger, and we are the Black Dimension. We are your entertainment channel. Uh,
Yeah.
and for those of you who are watching that haven't heard of the Black Dimension, go down below the screen and hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and hit that notification bell, and we will be bringing you more entertainment news and reviews, and more stuff like this. Every time a good movie gets released, we're gonna do it on a weekly basis. So just be looking for another movie review next week. Anything else, Roger?
No, that's it. We're good to go.
All right, that's it. And thanks for stopping by the Black Dimension. All right, peace out.